Cases sind, beziehungsweise fokussiert sich natürlich jetzt auf die für Zalando wichtigsten Use Cases im Commerce-Bereich. Viel Spaß. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Here we go.
So, thank you everyone. I think you saw my speaker notes, but basically, I'm a bit embarrassed that I'm almost the only one who's speaking in English. So, kind of like I started already on a German course yesterday, so I think next year, maybe when I come back, I will be speaking in German, and I hope you kind of get what I see today. Actually, speaking of that, almost the only thing I understood from Gerald's presentation was when he said there's an app for that. So I understood that, and I mean, yesterday was that moment because in my German course, there was actually an app where you can give it the word and it would tell you the German article. So you give it back and it says die. It's like, I thought this was the greatest thing ever. And maybe like a chatbot for that is like a really nice idea. Anyways, so I'm here today to speak to you about what we've done at Zalando as a kind of like a big fashion e-commerce player in terms of conversations. And by conversations, we really mean things text, Facebook Messenger, others, voice, whether that be the Google Assistant, different channels. So all of that, we think of all of that as conversations in our dictionary. And I'm going to speak to you more about what we did in that space and some of the things we learned along the way doing that. So basically, yes, the conversational landscape is pretty varied. You know, you have the Google Assistant, Alexa, and voice. You have Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, kind of like where customers communicate in text. It's a bit of like a different thing, and different customers use it. I think for us, it's also more complicated because we operate in 17 countries, and the different countries have different kind of distributions. So Facebook Messenger is really big in France, while in Germany, it's really WhatsApp is really dominant in Messenger. So kind of for us, it wasn't only just discovering what to build, but also what platform to build it on to make that happen for our customers. And kind of like after exploring that space and looking at it, one of the things we learned is that really instead of waiting for the customer to come to us on our Zalando app or Zalando website, it kind of makes sense now to actually engage with the customers on the platforms where they discover fashion. So be that Instagram, be that Facebook, be that Snapchat, maybe Pinterest. So this is actually the mission of the department I work with within Zalando. It's called Distributed Commerce. We're such a small team, kind of like a startup in Zalando. But our mission is to really engage platforms on non-Zalando-owned kind of interfaces. So go to the customers where they exist and not wait to them until they come to us. And we kind of been working on that for almost a year now, and we did some different things on different platforms. So on the Google Assistant, which is mainly powered by voice, we did something last year that was like a Geschenkfinder. So you kind of like want to buy a Christmas gift for someone, and we actually did that last year with Google. We were a launch partner with them doing that. We also have the Deal Finder now, so it's more for the price-conscious customer. You want to quickly access things on the sale at Zalando. You can say, OK, Google, talk to the Zalando Deal Finder, and you can kind of like get immediately articles from Zalando on sale. So this is where we like tackled the voice kind of vertical. On the other hand, for Facebook Messenger, there is Zalando Bot. You can use it today. You can actually find it on Messenger, and it uses image recognition to help you find Zalando articles. And we're actually also launching something with beauty very soon. Kind of like, I don't want to repeat myself and like run out of time and have the music kind of like throw me out. But basically, this is just kind of like going through the use case very quickly. So in this Zalando bot case, it's all about the customer uploading an image from their phone. They might have seen something they like on Instagram. They might have like took a picture of an article that they saw on someone wearing it, and we're finding the article for them and like kind of pushing them. And actually, we didn't think this just about as a chatbot that we built for like an individual functionality, but as an end-to-end experience. So if the customer finds the product they want, they can click shop, and they're not directed to the mobile website or our app. They're directed for a special product page that we built that actually can make you buy the product in like 3 or 4 clicks without creating a Zalando account or without signing in. So it was more about just not thinking of just building a chatbot, but building an end-to-end experience for the customer using that platform. Again, this is something still in progress for beauty, so it's kind of like a bit of a surprise. But again, along the same lines, focused on the beauty kind of category we've just launched. Here we really took some learnings that we did from the first bot, which was very commercial, focused on selling. And we noticed that a lot of people using bots really don't want to have this like feeling of you're selling me something immediately. So we here like nurture that experience, have a lot of content and videos and education to help the customer feel that this is not just about us trying to kind of impose something on them, but trying to educate you on what's best for beauty for you. We did something also for the Google Assistant. Again, this was mainly by voice, where you can ask for an article to sell. So it's kind of like, I think this is more of like, again, a bit of a boring part of what we did, but just to give you context of what we've built. And the rest of the presentation, I'll try to use around what we learned from actually building this. So we really have some like 3-4 core lessons that we learned along the way. I don't think that we're experts in them then, but I encourage you to think about them as you build your own conversational experience. The first one is really to think about personalization. So think about it. A conversation is really the only way you can talk to the customer in their own natural language, right? It's not just a website or app where you click. So personalization is really important. Can you offer something where the customer feels that this is just an offering for them? We try to do that a little bit. For example, if you use the Zalando bot, the bot actually knows from your Facebook profile if you're male and female and actually returns the right products for your gender. So it's kind of having these small little bits about personalization is really useful. The other thing, and I think a lot of like bots at the beginning try to do that, which is replicate the same experience you have on an app inside a bot. So you go to an e-commerce bot and it says like, what's your size? You say medium. What do you want? T-shirt. What color? Blue. And then you kind of like have to go through 4 or 5 steps, which the customer does in 2-3 clicks with a filter, right? And immediately, if the customer does that, they feel, okay, why am I using a bot? I can just download the app and use it, right? So think about like focusing on one specific problem and solving that well. I liked an example from Air France where they built like a bot that only solves baggage problems. So you have a question about the size of the bag or like how many bags can I take on a flight? The bot only solves this. So kind of like under kind of promise and over deliver is the mantra you should think about. A third thing is, again, think about what's different about the bot that you don't really offer on other channels. So customers should feel that the bot has differentiated value from the other channels to make sure that this retention is there and that they use it again. We tried that with our image recognition bot. So there is like an image functionality on the app, but it's quite hidden. People don't really know it. So now when we told them we have an image recognition bot, our customers say, okay, that's something new. I would rather use the bot from that and not the website and the app. And last but not least is something I said. Don't jump in with kind of like, again, commercial selling part. Again, from e-commerce, we were really tempted to do that. But think about it as a kind of a relationship that you nurture with the user, more about education, more about fun, and then kind of like the selling part will hopefully come through. I want to speak specifically about discovery because this was one of the major issues that we faced, although we have like a very big like Facebook page with millions of followers. But when we launched our bot, like the problem was always how do people find the bot and talk to us? So for example, in our Google kind of like thing, the customer had to say, okay, Google, sprechen mit Zalando deal finden. And they had to like remember this, right? So the user can do that once, but once they do it, like how will they kind of reactivate that experience again in a week? Same for a Facebook Messenger bot. Yes, you can connect it to your Facebook page. Yes, you can do something. But again, we've found that like we tried some paid marketing doing it. Maybe we weren't that good. It was very difficult to build a conversion funnel that really makes sense to our kind of ROI or our margins. Especially in Facebook Messenger, if you do these Messenger ads, people have to click, and then they say the bot, they have to click get started to start the bot. So in every kind of these like funnels, there's a bit of a churn. So kind of think about it. Where we really found is the best way is to actually think about your own existing channels and then build that and integrate that with a bot. So we had like other channels where we have a lot of traffic and that bot was standing kind of standalone and no one like kind of reaching it. We said, well, let's connect our different channels together and have people actually access the bot. And I kind of like, the example I give here is basically now when people order using this social media checkout we have, when you finish that checkout, you get that notification telling you, would you like to receive shipment notifications on Messenger? And if so, opt in. And here is something where you give immediate value to the user so they know why they want to kind of connect to your bot. Plus, it's a channel where you then can re-engage them back again using useful things in the future. So instead of thinking of your bot experience as a standalone experience, kind of think of where in your customer journey you want to connect the customer, give them value, and then, okay, they've opted into shipment notifications. Maybe in the future you can re-engage with them and send them other things. So this is where we're like going much more in the future moving forward. Some tips and tricks about building your bot. I think this one I also mentioned. Again, do not emulate what you have on other channels. Build something that is unique, build something that is different, and try to focus on immediate customer satisfaction. So people have a small attention span, and if you they don't see the value of the bot very quickly, they're going to leave it. So what can you do maybe in the first 10, 20 seconds, the first minute, where the user really feels that I've got value from this bot and I'll use it again. Because, still the platforms are not mature. Still, I think, as we mentioned, the AI capabilities are not there. So make people feel that this is something that's useful for them. I think one of the things we did, we have our own engineering team. So the first bot we built, we kind of like built it kind of completely in-house. We built everything end to end. And that's good because it gave us control on the user experience. But the challenge is, if you don't find something working, it's also difficult to iterate and move quickly. So I think probably most of you know that, but there are a lot of now chat building platforms out there. And I think for you to think like and want to iterate quickly and find what the customer wants, build something very quickly, prototype, change it very quickly with these platforms. Maybe when it works, invest a lot of engineering effort in making it perfect. So that applies to everything, I think, any software product, but specifically for bots, because you don't really know what the customer wants, so be very lean and iterative. Make sure the bot reflects your personality. Again, if you speak about an app or a website, like no one expects an app to have a personality or a website. But the bot, that immediate feeling, because I use Messenger for connecting with my friends, when the bot talks to me, you feel that it's a human and you try to say like, yeah, how are you? Or like something like that. And you treat it like a human being and make sure that kind of it has some kind of personality and it's also that personality reflects your brand. Last but not least, kind of understand that the platform is very limited, right? I think there's a lot of hype that's now getting kind of like a bit less on these chatbots. The platforms, so if you think about web is now like, what, 20, 30 years, mobile, 10 years, maybe then since the iPhone launched. These are very mature platforms. The whole bot thing started like 2-3 years ago. Payments is still a challenge. How do you accept payments inside the app, inside the bot? Kind of like how do you measure metrics? A lot of things that you take for granted in your kind of like development experience aren't there. So when you design your use case, make sure that kind of like you understand that limitations of the platform. So when we built things about the assistant, we were very limited in terms of the content we had to show in the carousel, the colors we can change. It's very difficult. Oh, that's not the music. Okay. Funnels are very useful. So Facebook Messenger, we've used that feature. There's a very useful feature where you can actually track the funnel of the users. And that's something which we deployed, very useful again to see how many people started talking to the bot, how many people uploaded an image to the bot, how many people actually ended up buying, and then finding where that improves. This is important, and this is different from like, again, web and mobile. It's important to actually look at the conversations that the users did with you and then measure which ones of them were failed and understand from the failed ones how you can improve and fix it. So there's a lot of tools, maybe like Chatbase out there, where you can connect your bot and basically look, and it tells you, okay, I've got 60% of all the conversations were correct. They were matched correctly to an intent, but 40% of them failed. So the user told the bot something and the bot couldn't kind of reply. And then you look at those and then you say, oh, this is what my people are saying to my bot. This is what they're trying to say. Maybe this is what they're thinking that they want, and I can offer that service to them. The last thing I want to speak about today is basically the difference between developing for voice and visual, because we did both, and we kind of like have some interesting learning there. So I think voice is much more difficult than building something that has a visual cue. And think about it. So for me, my German is very poor, so if I talk to you like face to face and I try to say something, maybe like I wiggle my hands like this, as you see me like wiggling all the time, kind of make some things, and you understand what I want to say. But if I call a call center, the guy on the other side or the girl doesn't see me. So talking to them just in voice, it's very hard to actually transmit the message. And it's the same for the bot. A bot without visual cues or like lacking visual cues is very difficult to build on. Also, people don't have the patience to listen, so the bot would say, yeah, but people don't do it. So it's really difficult to do it, and I've got a lot of nice examples about like voice and what we learned that. I can share it with you afterwards. So the thing is, we said discovery is hard, and it's even harder for voice, as I mentioned. And I think we speak a lot with Google, we speak a lot to our other partners, and I think it's very difficult to crack discovery in voice. So how do people know that a voice experience exists, and how do they activate it, and how does retention work? Maybe some of you have Amazon Alexa at home, have Google Home. You kind of ask yourselves, how many times have I used something beyond the usual just listening to music and the weather? And the reason is probably that you don't know what exists, right? You don't know that Zalando, for example, has something on there, or there's another app. And even if you start that kind of app or action, you don't know what it does. So kind of like voice is very difficult, and it's difficult because developing for it is hard, and because discovering the experience for customers is really hard. That said, it's still happening, and adoption is happening, it's just moving much slower than the other platforms. So if you think about it, yes, look at the numbers, I think Abstract published by Amazon and others, the devices are there, everyone buys them, everyone asks them for weather and music, and some other things. So adoption is happening, but again, the use cases where adoption are happening are ones where it's very easy to activate and there's very immediate kind of satisfaction, right? Play that song, song is played. Light the room, room is lighted, right? So there's no complex interaction, there's an immediate kind of command and there's an immediate response. And then, again, if you think about working on these voice platforms, make sure that your use cases are along that lines because there's where much of the success is happening. So, I mean, to recap on what I wanted to say, so like 3 main messages I want to send you. Again, don't think of chatbots as, think like of them as another channel that you have for your business. I have web, I have app, and I have now a bot, which is a conversational channel. How can I leverage that channel to serve my customers? Think what's unique about that channel for you and your business, and kind of invest in that experience and have patience, right? Because this is new. It's not going to I think there's a lot of hype and it's going to be the next big thing, but it's still new, right? New for our customers and new for us as technology developers on how to tackle these platforms. So understand that. Again, discovery is important. How will people find my experience? Make sure that this experience is linked to your whole customer kind of journey. Where in your customer journey does it make sense to add that conversational part? How will they discover your app? Make sure that you have analytics in place, of course, to measure that. And as you think about voice, make sure that you kind of make the right trade-offs and select the right use case for voice. So kind of the main themes of my brand, I tried to go as broad as possible on what we did, so I hope that was helpful for you. But thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I'll be hanging around all day to kind of answer your questions. So,
So thank you so much, Ahmed.